Mic check, 1 2 1 2. Happy Monday, happy Memorial Day, May 25th, 2020. Welcome to the Ash Cash Show every Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Make sure you're subscribing to the podcast. Go to the ashcashshow.com. Also subscribe to my YouTube channel, ashcashtv.com. And as Dacia said, it's a money-making Monday, right? So even though it's a holiday in the Americas, it's still a money-making holiday. It's still a money-making Monday. So we wanna salute to that. So today, it's a light day as it relates to news, but I still want to kind of give y'all some news out there. Spoiled Brat, what's up, Spoiled Brat? I'll give y'all some news, and we'll talk about. I'll open it up for any questions. I do have a lot of questions that I get in my DMs that I didn't get a chance to answer, so I will go over those questions today. I'll read them. Like, I haven't even gone over them, so I'm gonna read them raw, and maybe I'll just omit the person's name just in case. But yeah, today we're gonna go to the DMs today, and then any other questions you guys have, we can go from there. But first and foremost, today is Memorial Day, and so salute to all of those who have fought in this country and who have died for our freedoms. I think that even throughout this pandemic, and we're looking at how we're locked down and things that are happening. The one thing that we should not take for granted is the fact that we are still free here in this country, and we have freedoms, and it is the fighting of those who are in our armed forces. And so Memorial Day is to honor and commemorate those who have lost their lives to fight for our freedom. And so salute to all of the fallen soldiers out there. To get into the news again, the markets are closed today for the observance of Memorial Day, but we're now also seeing that public places are not closed. At a glance, it may look like Americans have long forgotten about the dangers of coronavirus. Crowds packed beaches in Florida, Maryland, Georgia, Virginia, and Indiana over the weekend. Many venturing out without masks and others failing to keep their distance, even as officials have tirelessly highlighted the importance of both in order to prevent another surge of cases. In Missouri, hundreds attended a pool party just days after a similar party in the neighboring Arkansas caused a cluster of new coronaviruses. Arkansas governor said the state is now experiencing a second peak. It's honestly disturbing in a way, because, and I understand how it's easy to forget, because there's these messages out there, right? It's almost as if, and please forgive me for saying this, it's almost as if you know how, like, I don't like calling them black nationalists, right? I want to call black nationalists, but you know how, like, my stay woke people, right, would be like, we're living in a world full of sheep, and at one point it felt like it was extreme, like at one point it felt like it was extreme. But it's times like this that almost make you realize that people really don't think for themselves. And I'm talking about by and large. I'm talking about, like, by and large, people don't think for themselves. And why I say that is it's almost as if and I'm just talking about by and large, right? Because I do want people to make their own decisions, but I also want you to take into account the information that's being sent out there, and then dissecting it yourself. So good, bad, ugly. That's why for me it's important that I look at everything. Like, I don't only look at CNN, but I look at Fox News. Like, you want to look at both sides to see what is what's being told out there, and the truth is somewhere in the middle. But when I look at the fact that I think we hit 100,000 deaths, right? So 100,000 deaths for the coronavirus, but people are still um, going out there, right? People are still going outside. People are still going to restaurants and doing these things. And I'm not um, in these crowded places. Let's just say that in the places where it's crowded, and it's crowded so much so that um, you can only imagine that there's going to be second waves of stuff. You know what I mean? And so, it's just weird. I mean, it's not weird, but I'm starting to see that, when the country was like, we're on lockdown, and they were almost sort of like telling you what to do, more people were taking heed to a point where now they're like, okay, some are open up, some are not open up. It's like confusion around it, but there's no, people are kind of, going but not going. I don't know. It's just a weird thing. But yeah. So I do think that that is a weird thing, um, um, where people are just like out there as if we don't have an active virus happening with no real cure to it. And I get there's preventative measures and there's preventative ways, like build ways to build up your immune system, but it's like um, build your immune system, but then also don't put yourself in a position where you are potentially putting yourself at risk. So I'll just leave it there. In other news, New York State launches small business loans for those who didn't get the money from the feds, and so um, applications for a New York State small business loan program opened Tuesday for businesses that didn't get money from the federal COVID-19 relief programs. There is a $100 million state program. It's called the New York Forward Loan Fund, and it's aimed at minority and women-owned small businesses. The loans are for small businesses and nonprofits with less than 20 full-time employees and landlords with less than 200 units who have lost rental income during the coronavirus pandemic. And so this is important. I know we reported last week that Magic Johnson also helped in creating a separate fund, a $100 million fund, through his company, where they were providing loans to minorities and women-led businesses. So that's great news. So definitely check out the New York Forward Loan Fund if you're in New York. But also the significance of that is the fact that if you have less than 20 full-time employees and you're a landlord with less than 200 units, that you can really take advantage of it. So definitely, make sure that you're taking advantage of that. In other news, let's see what else is in news, right? So in other news, we have, let's see. Oh, so I thought this was interesting, because Instagram, and this is going to lead us into our highlight, or my highlight for the weekend. But Instagram is now cracking down on DJs playing full songs in live sessions, right? And so Instagram is claiming that playing more than 90 seconds of a song violates their deal with labels and music publishers. And so despite the uptick in usage and viewers, Instagram is holding DJs to a 90-second cap on the portion of a song they're permitted to play during live sessions. And so, according to DJ Mag, the social media platform recently introduced a pop-up function to warn DJs of the termination of their live stream when the app detects the use of a song without copyright clearance. But that's just the most recent step taken by the company. And so also Page 6 reports that Instagram has been flagging live stream sets for months. And per comments from Swiss Beats, right, so during the verses, on the verses page, when Beanie Man versus Bounty Killers, there's no exception for the insanely popular live battles. So I found this interesting because during a pandemic, and I get it, so I'm not for or against, but during a pandemic where most people are home, what's happening is that how do you get your music and you know have fun and all that stuff? And so DJs are going live, right? They're having live parties, they're having live sets, and so I have a lot of DJ friends, and a lot of them have offline have been complaining to me about the fact that IG not letting them live, and this is their livelihood in a way. I mean, not even in a way, but a lot of DJs, that's their livelihood, and so if they're not able to play music, then how are they going to make money or get donations and things of that nature? And so a lot of them have they put the Cash App up and they try, but then they get they're getting kicked out. And so I found that was interesting, that Instagram is now cracking down. But I get it, you know what I'm saying, because at the end of the day, labels and music publishers, they own the rights to these songs, right? And so if they own the rights to these songs, and then these songs are being played, I guess without compensation, via a wider audience, then that's a violation of their guidelines and their terms. But I beg to wonder what's the difference between doing that in a closed setting, like a club, like that isn't that what's the music is for, especially if you're not necessarily monetizing it. And this is what I'm meaning by that, right? Like when you go to a club, a DJ goes to a club, a DJ gets paid by the club in order to spin and make and have records, right? Then, but the DJ paid for the song, whether it's the tape or whatever, or even if they didn't pay for it and got it from the label, it's to make the song more popular. It's not like they're saying, hey, pay me $1 for this song. So there's not like streaming services or anything like that. It's actually just promotion, right? And so if a DJ is doing that on a live set, then what's the difference in them doing it in a club? You know what I mean? And even like, wouldn't labels and music publishers want it to spread that way, especially throughout a live? You know what I mean? I just don't. That's where the confusion comes in at. But speaking of lives, and here's the other thing is that when DJs are asking for cash apps, it's for the totality or the total, whatever, you know what I'm saying? It's for the total of their skill and what they've been doing, not necessarily for the actual songs that they're getting. So it's a sort of like a conundrum. It's definitely sort of a conundrum, and this actually leads to my next story. And before I get to the versus battle, there is actually a if I could get back to this, let's see. There is a new platform that's called Fundy, and Fundy is a new platform that let live streamers get paid directly for streaming live. And so they're using Twitch's API. I haven't checked into it yet, but I will check into it. It's called Fundy, Fundi, and they're using the Twitch API, which allows you to live stream, and then when you live stream, it makes it easier for people to be able to pay you or fund you, so that way people don't have to go out to a third party. Because think about it, if you have IG live and then you put your Cash App there, in order for somebody to literally donate to you or pay you for your services or whatever, they literally have to leave IG, go to Cash App, and pay you. And sometimes, unless you got two phones, sometimes it's going to be difficult for them to do that because they don't want to leave what they're doing. And so the new app Fundy is going to allow live streamers to get paid directly on that. I think that this is definitely something that they should do, that Instagram should do. And so as Dacia says, that's like YouTube Super Chat, right? So YouTube also has that. YouTube has something called Super Chat, where you're able to donate while somebody's live on YouTube. And so I think that's awesome. I think Instagram should definitely do that, especially with all the people that are on there, because I know that there's been times where I'm like on a live, and I want to donate, and I have to literally. I mean, I have two phones. So I literally have to jump off. And grab another phone in order to, donate to somebody, via Cash App, and so that Fundy is a great idea. I'm not gonna say it's a great app because I haven't tried it yet, but it's a great idea to try to do that. I'm going to try it because when I think about doing live classes or workshops and things of that nature, I would love to be able to do a workshop, and as people are streaming live, allow them to donate. But at the same time, if everybody, it's going to also take you to have to drive traffic towards your Fundy page, because the difference with Instagram is people are already on Instagram, right? So you already have people on there, and as people are on there, it's easy for them to just say, "Oh, this person went live. Let me go check them out." They could like club hop in a way. They could just go from place to place, and so I found that interesting. All right, now to the classic Beanie Man versus Bounty Killer reggae in-person versus battle on IG Live. Man, this is crazy, right? So the latest versus battle between reggae artist Beanie Man and Bounty Killer was a party everyone expected, as the two artists battled in person in Jamaica. It was the first time two musicians competed physically, as the previous versus battle were all virtual. More than 450,000 people tuned in Saturday, including Barbadian singer Rihanna and Jamaican Olympic gold medalist Usain Bolt. Man, it was, when I tell you that this versus battle was the best battle I've seen. Like, I don't know how they're gonna top it. I don't know how they're gonna top it. Like, it's gonna be one of those things that's gonna be tough to top, because at the end of the day, it was awesome. And then I think the great thing about it was, to that point, talking about the 90 seconds, right? That's why, as they were playing certain songs, they were trying to, abide by the rules and cutting off in 90 seconds. But the incredibleness of it was that, Beanie and Bounty, like, they literally battled each other freestyle. Like, they had like freestyles going back and forth. And so at the end of the day, like, this was like, when I tell you this was like a walk through memory lane. So I grew up in the 90s, and so in the 90s, reggae was a big deal. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm from Harlem, but a lot of the Brooklyn girls, was really into reggae. And so if you wanted to, try to cross borders, messing with the girls, you had to literally, you had to know the songs. And I went to Martin Luther King High School. And so in King, there was a lot of Harlem dudes, a lot of Brooklyn girls. So I was like introduced to reggae, then I was actually rooting for Bounty Killer. Like, I love Beanie Man. But Bounty Killer was my guy in the 90s. But I feel like, I got a better. I had respect for Beanie because they both goats, but they definitely, They definitely, created, an experience to the point where I don't see how they can go back to not doing it in person. Like, I don't see how they could not go back to doing it in person. Like, going forward, it has to be done in person. I don't know how they could go back to like the streaming way, because it was just so super duper dope. And then, again, it's one of those things, and I get, I would love to see what the business model is, right? Because when you think about Swiss Beats and Timberland creating verses, and we talk about verses a lot because it's really, really popular. They're getting billions of impressions and views. And so from a business model perspective, I do think that, it's good that they're doing it on a platform where the people are already. So I hear a lot of talk about people, having to, why don't they create their own platform? But maybe now isn't the time yet. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, take advantage. Like, where else are you going to get people who are already on these apps, to jump on, right? Like, if they took it offline, you don't know if people are gonna jump offline with you. So that's it. That's it for the news today. Light news day. I'm gonna open it up for any questions. What I'm gonna do is I want to go to my Instagram. And so if you guys have any questions, and so if you're on, here's the deal. If you're on Twitter, if you're on Joseph Escobar, Joe Esco, what up? No battle is gonna top this. Real talk. That's a fact, right? Like, there's no way they could ever have a battle that's gonna top that. Like, I don't see that happening whatsoever. You know what I'm saying? Good morning, Carmela Mosley. Good morning to Carmela. And so if you have any questions, if you're watching on YouTube, if you're watching on Twitter, if you're watching on Facebook, if you're watching on Twitch, please put your comments in the comment section, or your questions, and I'll answer them for you. If you're on Instagram, please ask your question on Instagram. So, Spoiled Brat was I always forget to pin. I ain't gonna pin because I don't want to take time away from it. But ask your questions below, and I'll go from there. Ebonified says, "What about Scratch.tv?" I'm not sure. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not sure the bandwidth, because that's the other thing too. The other thing is that I don't know if they're trying other platforms, but the other thing about it is that what is the bandwidth of these other platforms? You know what I'm saying? So, like, when you think about a Twitch, when you think about YouTube, when when you think about Instagram, like, they're literally built for millions of people to be on at one time. You don't want to get a situation, and I'm not saying that about Scratch TV. I'm not sure. But if I think that if you go to a platform and it doesn't have the bandwidth to be able to hold all of those people, it might not be a good look. You know what I'm saying? Because even crashed Instagram at one point. You know what I'm saying? Because I remember, what battle was it? I forgot what battle I was trying to watch, but I couldn't watch it. I literally had to go and watch it on YouTube. You know what I'm saying? So, all right. Let's see. So I'm going to all right. So let's go to the questions. All right. So Grace the DJ says, is it a good time to start an online radio station? I think it is. I think that it would definitely be a good time to start an online radio station. I think that it's the same, it'll be the same issue though, right? So, like, if you start an online radio station and try to drive traffic to that online radio station while people are on these other places, it's going to be, you're sort of like battling for, demand or supply, right? Because what's happening now is that because everybody's home, there's a high supply, right? Meaning that there are a lot of people who are streaming, who starting, their own things and things of that nature. And so you're almost battling for time and attention. And so if you started an online radio station, you're almost asking people to leave, Instagram or YouTube or Netflix or all these other places that they're staying right now to go to your online station. If this was regular times where people were like, oh, I'm at work and I need to do something to pass the time, then potentially having an online station is going to be, beneficial, because they can go to your station for specific type of programming. I'm not saying it's a bad idea. I just keep in mind that it's going to be competitive. And so when you do start it, or if you do start it, it might be a good idea to still use the other platforms to drive people to it. So I'll give you a prime example. So, with this show that I'm doing every day, this is actually a online news platform, right? I'm creating a new online news platform, but I'm not taking it offline. I'm taking it to where everybody is already. And so when people are on YouTube already, people are on Facebook already, people are on Twitter already, people are on Twitch already, people are on Instagram already. And so what I did was I figured out a way to take all of my content and multi-stream it at the same time to where people are already. So I'm not asking you to go to Ash Cash TV or the Ash Cash show right now to watch it live. Like, you can actually watch it live. You can interact with me live. But then once it's over, then I take it to a place, right? I take it to my podcast. And now I add it to my podcast. And so now if you want to replay it, you can go to my podcast and listen to it, right? Or, as I'm developing the show more, I'm going to add exclusive content as far as interviews to the podcast to give people incentivized, right? So think about all these people that are on right now. If you're watching it live, what's your incentive to go and make sure that you check out the podcast or subscribe to the podcast? But if I start to create content to exclusive content to make people go to the podcast, then they'll apply. So I think that is definitely a great idea, but use the platforms that already exist to kind of drive people there. Thanks for answering, Ash. June 2020. Stay tuned. All right, salute to you, Grace. Definitely let us know, if you want to debut here as well. We'll definitely shout it out and let us know, where we can support you. All right. Let's see. And so this is two of the same questions. So cleaning for you says, what's the name of the state fund program, please, or could you pin it? And then Tigris says, can you repeat the fund that's in New York? And so the name of the fund is called the New York State Small Business Fund. It is called the New York Forward Loan Fund. So the New York Forward Loan Fund, NYFLF, the New York Forward Loan Fund. So go check that out. All right, what else? All right, let's see. All right, so let me go to my what do you call these things? Let me go to my DMs real quick. And so I'm gonna go to my DMs. I get a lot of questions in my DMs that I don't really get a chance to answer, but I am going to answer them right now. All right, cool. So I'm gonna say, let's see. All right, so let's see. So. And if it's a comment, I'm gonna read. I'm not gonna say your name, I guess, because I don't want to. I don't know if you send it as a DM to make it private, but I'll still read it. And so somebody on Instagram DM me and says, love the content, book idea, write scenarios which are common and gossip about, then how to avoid the legal fallout using business tactic and loopholes, using real world example like the one you mentioned below. All right, so that's just a great comment that they're just saying. So this one was about. Hold on, I just want to respond to them. Salute, appreciate the love. Right, so this one was just a comment about using, because we used the game in his situation with the lawsuit, and then like teaching the game about how to create the LLC. And so that was just a comment on there. So appreciate the comment. And then so here's let's see. Let me just see. So all right, so Dave so somebody named Dave hit me and says, good morning, King. I just had a question. What do you prefer, index funds or ETFs, or does it matter? That's a great question. And so preference on stocks and stuff like that is all right. So let me so preferences on which stocks or indexes or things of that nature that you like is really based on it's preference, right? It's really based on your experience, based on what you go through, or whatever the case may be. I personally, so there's two things, right? You have index funds, and index funds are tied to a specific index. So when you think about S&P 500. You think about Dow Jones Industrial Average. You think about all these things or whatever. That's what an index fund is, right? An index fund allows you to, to um, invest in an actual index and not in the individual stocks. ETFs, electronic traded funds, what ETFs do is that they allow you to um, invest in an actual industry, right? And so if you want to, invest in tech, in the tech stocks, or in pharmaceuticals or whatever, you would buy an ETF, right? If you want to invest in a specific index, then you would S&P 500, Dow Jones, then you would invest in that. As far as my preference goes, not even I think, but I am more of an index fund guy, only because when I look at the history of the stock market, there aren't. It's sort of like the same, but there aren't a lot of indexes that have not gone up. But there are industries that could potentially go down, and you could lose a lot of money. Think about, like, at some point in the 90s, the .com boom, and then when it started going down, and if you had an ETF that was focused on .coms, then or if you had ETFs that were focused on real estate at the time where the real estate bubble hit, you know what I'm saying? So that there might be chances for it to go down, but I'm more like of an index guy. But yeah, that's just my answer. But it's just my preference, so just look into both. Appreciate that, Dave. Let's see. All right. All right. I'm gonna answer this one. So this one is a question from A. First initial A, last name Vaughn, and it says, "Top of the morning, bro. Been following you for a minute now, and I've come to a point in my life I'm ready to change my life around. How can I do so?" I think that I love that question. I would love to know more, but it's hard to answer those questions without knowing more. But I would say that for anybody, right? Because everybody's in that space, or not everybody, but some people are in that space where they're like, you know what, I'm looking to change my life around. And so if you're at that space where you're looking to change your life around, I think the first step is how do you, or what do you want your life to look like? You know what I'm saying? I think that's important. The most important part of any change is the vision to see what that change looks like, right? And that's important. The reason why I say that's important because that's too vague. I want my life to change. All right, what does that mean? It could change for the better. It could change for the worse. It could change for something that you don't even want. And so you have to first decide. You have to first say to yourself, okay, you know what? This is what I want my life to look like. And if you're in an environment that doesn't is not conducive to change, that doesn't allow you to see change because you might be surrounded by people or things that are not what you want to see, then I would really say to start reading. Like read autobiographies, watch documentaries. Think about people that you admire that might that you want to emulate. I think that's important because I think for me, when I, my saving grace, when I wind up, leaving the streets. Now, I wasn't in the streets like that, but when I wind up, deciding to get a job and go from an admiration of street life to actually saying, yo, I want my life to look different. It was actually when I started working in banking. And I like literally saw, Fat Shot the Michael Black. I literally saw a branch manager who looked like me, who ran the whole thing, was telling everybody what to do in this mega branch. And I now had a vision. I now was able to look and say, yo, I want my life to look like his. And so I worked. I used that as a blueprint. You know what I'm saying? And then as I used it as a blueprint to really model my life, based on his life, based on what I saw, when I got to that level, my vision then changed. I started to see other people and say, "Oh, this is what I want. Oh, this is what I want." And so I think emulation is great. Like even right now, when I look at somebody like Dave Ramsey, who has millions of people who tune in every day to listen to his personal finance advice, that's my model, right? Like I have a program that I think my program has reached 3,000 people, but I would love for it to reach 50 million. Like I think his program reached 50 million people. So like I'm like, okay, that's the model to look after. Not saying to I'm not copying what he's doing or doing things the way he would do it, but at the same time, there is a thing to say about having a vision of somebody that you want to, you see and you want to get to. Like, so that's on that side. And then like think about, someone like Jay-Z, who is a billionaire from the projects. Like oh, I'm from the projects. I would love to be a billionaire, and so that's something that I look at and I emulate, and so I think that if you want to change your life, it's really about identifying it's easier to identify a who, right? It's easier to identify, to read books, to look at documentaries and things of that nature, and then identify, all right, this is who I want to emulate. But then also there's the what as well, because you could take pieces, bits and pieces. Like I'm not a rapper, but there's a lot of business moves, let's say, that someone like Jay-Z has done that I'm like, all right, I would love to do that. So that's my answer to you, Vaughn. Appreciate the question. Our eyes are open, good, bad, and different. Emulation is inevitable. That's a fact. Wall Street Philippe in the building. All right, let's see. Let's see. And so this is another one that says, I am most impressed, good sir. Look, man, watch me follow you, right? Then I'm going to shout you out in my ebook, dedication, credentials, and shout out and ish. Look for me over the coming summer. How did you get the links to be on your IG account linking to all of your other ones? How can I set myself up to do that? Okay. So salute to you. Thank you for that comment. Okay. And so what they're asking is, so in my bio, so when you hit the link in my bio, it pops up with all these different links and pictures and things of that nature. So there's two ways you could do that. Number one, there's an app or there's a website called Linktree. And so if you go to Linktree and just sign up, it allows you to have different links on there. For me, I don't use Linktree because I wanted to add like pictures, and I wanted to add other links and stuff like that. And I think Linktree charges you if you want to be like more dynamic. And so I was like, why would I pay a monthly fee for something I could do myself? And so my website is mindrightmoney.com. And all I did was created a page, mindrightmoney.com/IamAshCash, which didn't have any like banners or bars or whatever, but literally just an open page. I created content so that when you view it on your website, it looks like, or you view it on your phone, it looks the same way like IG. And so that's how I did that. But you could also go to that page on your desktop, right? So if you went to mindrightmoney.com/IamAshCash, you would see the same links, but just that way. So that's how I do that. Hit with Paris. Good morning, Cuzzo. Good morning. Let's see. So hi. Can you give me your rates for post promotion? So I don't do post promotions. I don't have any rates, but I will. I don't know. I've had people ask me about promoting stuff, and then charging for it. Not that I'm opposed to it, but I have to be. It has to be aligned with my message. You know what I'm saying? Like it has to be aligned with my message. Like I have to, want to, like I have to want to, promote your stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like I've promoted people's stuff without pay though. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like if I resonate with a message, I'll just do it. But I have had a lot of people talk to me about, potentially doing that. So maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll set something up. So as of right now, this is for Bacon is the first name. As of right now, I don't have any rates for promotion, but at some point I will. Let me see. So, okay, so this is another one. So what time is it? Oh, I'm almost done. So what are your suggestions about 401ks right now that many have lost money in the market and maybe don't have time to recoup losses? Should we pull out now that there are no penalties and maybe invest in something more profitable, lucrative? Many don't want to end up like they did back in 2008 with half of what they invested, as we know a recession is coming. So that's a great question. My answer to that is to do your due diligence, meaning that I think that there are going to be sectors that, everybody is, not everybody, but there are a lot of industries and sectors and things of that nature that are not doing well right now. But then there are also sectors that I believe that will rebound. And so I want you to think about a post-COVID-19 environment, and is what your 401k in right now susceptible to continue to lose, or can it rebound? The reason why that's important is because if you do not lose until you take the money out. So for instance, let's say for instance you're saying that you don't have, or people might not have time to recoup these losses. And so if they don't have time to recoup the losses and they take the money out, they actually realize the loss. And then, now they have no chance of getting it back, right? So like if you had a $50,000 401k, and then now that $50,000 401k is worth $25,000, and then now you pull that money out because it has no penalty, and you put that $25,000 in something more lucrative, how long is it going to really take you to make up that $25,000? Opposed to if it's a fund that is that can recoup itself, then you don't realize that loss. You let it sit and allow it to jump back up. But the chance that you take is that 25,000 goes to 10,000 or 5,000. So I don't think there's a specific answer, meaning like I don't think that I could say yes, pull your money right now, or no, don't pull your money. I would say that do your due diligence. I would number one, whoever is your 401k plan administrator, that you would go to your plan administrator and just check out the fund, and have them explain to you what the fund is investing in and things of that nature, and kind of see what what experts are saying about that particular sector, post COVID, and then you make a determination. You know what I'm saying? But I don't think that there's a one size fit all answer. I just think that there's different answers as you could use. Doc Realtor says, what do you think is the safest investment right now? That is an oxymoron. There is no such thing as a safe investment. Never. There's never a thing as a safe investment. If it's an investment, then it has risk. Period. There is the only safe investment is you. 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 If you invest in yourself, that you are guaranteed to get a return. Guaranteed. 100% of the time. If you invest in you, you will 100% of the time get a return. But all the other investments, I don't care how strong they may seem, they're not safe. Because anything could happen, and that's why it's called an investment. Right? Because you're investing in it with, the higher the risk, the higher the reward. The lower the risk, the lower the reward. And so there are low risk investments that have low reward, and there's high risk investment that have high reward, right? And there's some low risk investments that have high reward, right? But there's always going to be a risk. If anybody tells you that this investment is risk free, then they're lying to you. There's always a risk, right? Even in the most secure things, right? So let's say, for instance, putting my money in a bank account, is an investment. I put it in a CD, right? Low risk, right? Low reward too. Because yes, FDIC insured, but what if everybody pulls their money out? Now, to get your money back, is going to take time. If the insurance company that backs FDIC, runs out, you know what I'm saying? The likeliness of that is not high, but there's still risk. So that's a great question. So I appreciate that. All right, let me go one more to IG, to my IG, and then I'll go to let's see. So Ramona says, you mentioned Friday about creating an LLC to purchase your home or property. Can you expand on that? I actually, my CPA, Michelle Valbrun, Mitch, we're going to do a series together because I've been getting a lot of the LLC questions about how to go about it. And I think that it's better if a tax professional gives that information to you. I know the information, but I'd rather a CPA give you the information. And so Mitch we'll be doing something together really, really soon. So stay tuned for that. So James Equalizer says, was Amazon and Netflix stocks doing well prior to COVID-19? Do you think they will continue to do well after COVID-19? Yes and yes, right? So they were definitely doing well, or they were. The stock market in itself prior to COVID-19, there was a roller coaster ride, but obviously because of everybody being shut in, Amazon and Netflix are doing better. I think Amazon was doing well. I think Netflix was having issues. But either way, I do think that post-COVID, they will do better. Only because, number one, Amazon is taking everything, right? So Amazon is buying up everything. Even, they have reports of like the whole Whole Foods thing and the cashierless environment. That's number one. They are, buying up movie theaters and all these things that they want to buy up. So I think Amazon is going to be definitely doing good. I think Netflix is going to do good too, because people are, even when they do open up the country or the world, I think there's still going to be people who are leery to go outside. And so they're going to want to continue to stream. And so I think streaming services are going to do well. So James, I appreciate that question. All right, let's see what we got. So thoughts on 529. I was thinking of one for my nephew. And so a 529 plan, I think that I talked about this earlier. I think a 529 plan is good, but it's limits you. And so I think a 529 plan will limit you to only being able to do a for school. There are other options out there, like life insurance policies that you could take out on your child that can help you save money for them and participate in the markets and get a higher return. And so I'll do something on that as well, because I get that question a lot. But I think it's a good idea. It's a safer. I don't even know if it's safer, but I think it's a good idea. But there are other options out there that could be better than a 529 plan. Let's see. So Abaseta says, what tools do you use to simulcast this show on Facebook, Twitter, Periscope, YouTube, etc.? And so I'm using a platform called OBS Studios. And so OBS Studios allows me to the design, right? So the way I have like the ticker symbols and all that stuff, that's what I'm using. I'm using OBS Studios. And then I'm connecting OBS Studios to Restream.io. So Restream is a program that allows you to restream or simulcast to all these different platforms. And so that's how I'm doing it. So I'm using OBS Studios for the look, but then I'm using Restream to actually be able to stream it. Courtney M16 says your volume is low. It's just probably because I'm not yelling. because normally I'm like really really loud, but what happens is when I'm loud on the podcast, or when I'm loud and then when I put it on the podcast, it's hard to hear. So I'll double check the volume, but I think it's because I'm not like yelling. Yeah, I think that's because I'm not yelling. Let's see. Brooklyn Red says, "How do you go about finding a mentor?" That's a great question because I get that question a lot. I get that question a lot where people are like, "Oh, can you be my mentor?" I think finding a mentor has to be organic. You know, I don't think it could be contrived, right? I don't think that you could find a way to find a mentor. You know, not a real mentor. You know what I'm saying? Not a mentor um, that's gonna be worthwhile. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't think that that's possible. I've tried both ways. I've reached out. I remember, and I won't say his name, but I remember there was this older guy who had a finance television show. He's been around for a while. I think he still has a show. I'm not sure. But he has a finance a public show or whatever. Was it public radio, public television show? And long story short, I was like, oh, I always wanted to have my own show. I think that this person would be a good mentor for me, you know? And at the time, I only had books or whatever. And so somebody connected us, somebody I know that knew him. I was like, oh, I would love to connect with this guy or whatever. And then he connected us, and then I reached out to him, and I was like, yo, I would love for you to be my mentor, you know? And he never, no, honestly, that wasn't my first thing I said to him. I said, hey, somebody such and such connected us. I'm a fan of your work. I showed him what I was doing, and then he replied, was like, oh, great, keep going, like one of those type of things. And then because he replied to me, I then said, yo, I would love for you to be my mentor. What would that look like? Or what would that be like or whatever? And he never replied to me. Then years later, I met him face to face, and at a function. And when I met him, I was like, yo, what's up? I reached out to you before, blah, blah. But at this point, I really didn't need him, you know what I'm saying, as a mentor. But I also told him that I reached out. And then he was just like looking crazy in the face because he still didn't know what to say. Not crazy in the face because he didn't reply, but it was still this awkward thing of like, okay, right, you reached out as a mentor, but what does that mean? And so now that I'm in a space where people reach out to me, I understand why he never answered, and I understand why he was looking crazy in the face. Is because you don't ask somebody, yo, can you be my mentor, right? Because number one, I think relationships should be give and take, right? So I think a relationship should be a give and take. Like you should not only be like, oh, let me just take from you. And so in my estimation of it, what would have been better was, hey, I see you have this show. I'm also building a platform, and my platform, it has younger people. Let me know how I could serve you in what you're doing. That would have been better, right? A better approach, because now he has something that I want, right? I want to learn from him. I want to learn from his experience. But then as an older guy, he was an older guy, right? So as an older guy, he might have found, he might see, yo, this guy is new, he's young, he might be on the pulse of some stuff, so let me see how, I could benefit from his expertise, right? And so, Is Dacia said, I also hate, can I pick your brain? Be specific and ask for what you want. I don't reply to the pick your brain stuff. You know what I'm saying? And so I think that from a mentorship perspective, let it be organic, right? Make sure, right, exactly, right? Tigress says, mentees have to add value. Like, make sure you add value. Don't just come to me and tell me what I could do for you. Oh, I love what you're doing, and I want to be, in journalism too, and so can you be my mentor? How is that beneficial to me? Because if I'm doing what I'm doing, I'm busy. And so to take you on as a mentor, I got to stop doing what I'm doing to, you know what I'm saying? So how are you adding value to what I'm already doing? Because if I don't take you on as a mentor then nothing happens with me. I still continue to do the same thing. If I take you on as a mentor, there's potential that it slows me down for what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? And so at the end of the day, I think, to your question, how do you go about finding a mentor? Make it organic. Connect with people that you admire. Connect with people that you want to connect with, but add value to what they're doing to see if you can add value. Sometimes it isn't even always about the formal mentorship either. Sometimes you could be somebody's mentor without having to not bother them or, connect with them. Right. Because like I said, I've never met Dave Ramsey before in my life. But I look at Dave Ramsey's model as a model that I want to follow. Right. And so he's not my mentor in the traditional sense, but he's definitely somebody that when I look at his platform is somebody I want to emulate. And so I'm learning from him. You know what I'm saying? Without having to say, yo, take me under your wing. And so that's what I would say. All right, my time is running out. Thank you guys for all the questions. The plug, Kiera Leone says, cultivate relationships. Don't just connect, cultivate. I agree. You know what I'm saying? Cultivate relationship. That's the best type of mentorship. And the other thing I say about mentorship is sometimes you might be looking at somebody that you could do something, they could do something for you. In fact, you might could do something for them, and that's a win-win. Like, I've had situations that started out as somebody looking at me like, yo, be my mentor. Then we connected, and then they wound up being somebody that had a skill that I didn't have, and they added value. And then I was able to teach them what they wanted, but they was able to teach me what I needed. You know what I'm saying? So, all right. Thank you guys again for tuning in every Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m., the Ashcash Show. Make sure you go to the ashcashshow.com, subscribe to the podcast. Also, go to ashcashtv.com. To subscribe. So listen, I'm giving y'all this content. People are sharing it, but y'all not listening to what I'm saying. I need you to go to the ashcashshow.com and subscribe. I need you to do that. Number one. Number two, I also need you to support the show. Not just share that I need support. I need you to support the show. Like, you can support it at 99 cents, $1, whatever. And then lastly, I need you to go to ashcashtv.com and subscribe, because I need to get my subscribers up. All right, y'all. Let me end this before they kick me out. And the reason why I'm saying that I need y'all to do that is because, let's say with YouTube, I'm not able to monetize my channel until I get my subscribers up. And so I need y'all to subscribe. Go to ashcashtv.com to subscribe. Tell your friends to subscribe. Like, I need to get those followers up ASAP, because, I may not be able to. So what I'm saying is, if I'm waking up every day providing this content, I want to be able to monetize the content, and I do that by having the subscribers, having the viewerships. And so, if you could support the show directly, go to ashcashshow.com and hit the support button and support the show. If you can't support the show directly with your funds, then just subscribe to both and continue to, share this show so we can continue to have it happen. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you again. I'll see y'all tomorrow, same time, same place, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m., 9 a.m. On Eastern Time, the Ashcash Show. Love y'all. Peace.